Hello everybody, my name is Benjamin Bloom and we have movement in the Championship Management Stakes. We knew that 2 or 3 things are about to happen and the first one has dropped. Slav and Bilic is the new West Brom manager. This broke a couple of days ago, kind of dripped it out, finishing off the contract, etc. Will be announced tomorrow. At just gone 1 o'clock today, it was announced. So Bilic in at West Brom. Let's talk about West Brom first. Relegated from the Premier League as they were going down. Did they take the cheap option? They got Darren Moore in, and then Darren Moore had a really good end to the season. Start the new season, in comes Dwight Gale, keep a lot of very good Premier League players. More importantly, in comes Harvey Barnes on loan for Leicester. And West Brom spend the first months of the season banging in tons of goals. Barnes, Gale and Rodriguez look like they are going to lead Darren Moore right back up to the Premier League. Never really solidified top 2. And as Norwich, Sheffield United and Leeds kind of took over those top 3 positions, the worst thing that possibly could have happened for Darren Moore was Harvey Barnes was recalled by Leicester. Back he goes and things drifted. It seemed there was an over-reliance on individuals rather than a overarching philosophy, and pattern of play was a bit lacking. And I think one of the last games I was actually there, it was West Brom against my team, Ipswich, and they were trying some strange system and wasn't working, players out of position, fans not happy, and with, 7, 10, that sort of amount of games left to go between now and the end of the season, James Sharn was named as the caretaker manager, and Darren Moore was out. As we know, Sharn didn't really have time to implement a philosophy, evidently, and an incredibly defensive show in the playoffs in the first leg against Villa. Red cards in both legs and they lose on penalties. So it's announced then that James Sharn is not going to be the manager next year, and that all leads us to Slav and Bilic today. Let's talk a bit about Bilic, who played for West Ham and Everton, and I signed him lots of times on Football Manager. Probably most famously played in that incredible Croatia team that finished 3rd in World Cup 98. Don't just remember him as the guy that held his face and kind of got Laurent Blanc sent off. That team was incredible. Yanni, Suka, Prozanetsky. I'm probably missing out lots of brilliant players, but they're the ones that come to my mind straight away. So very, very strong player, and he's actually been a manager for a very, very long time. I don't know the exact career, but I think he did something for somewhere in Russia or Croatia to begin with, and then went to Croatia under 21s and then became the Croatian manager. And obviously, as England fans, we all know he was in the dugout when Steve McLaren's Rolly with the Brolly thing happened and England didn't qualify for the Euros. I think that was the Euros where they had that insane game with Turkey where Croatia took the lead at the end of extra time and Turkey still equalised and then they lost on pens. Didn't qualify for the next one, and I believe the next World Cup they were in a group with Italy and Spain, and go figure, they didn't get through it. So that was his international career. Again, went off Lokomotiv Moscow, something like that. Long and short of it, he ends up in England with West Ham and has a really, really good season with West Ham. Finishes 7th. Then I believe his next season, his best player, Payet, goes and things unravel. West Ham, not necessarily the easiest club to manage if you've read Sam Allardyce's book. I believe then it is possibly 1 or 2 other stops, and the last one was some club in Saudi Arabia. Now, obviously, I know it's a pretty contentious issue, anyone that goes and takes money from the Saudis. So, but I think he was sacked from that after not very many months. So, looking at Bilic, his stock was massively high after probably that 2008 Croatia Euros campaign. And I think that was the emergence of Modric and Rakitic in that team, and I guess he had them with the under-21s and pushed them through. So stock very, very high. And when he was at West Ham that first season, I remember, apart from Payet pinging loads of free kicks, and I remember a lot of good away wins for West Ham in that season. Obviously, his stock has dropped off, but in terms of managing in the Championship, he surely is now a top name to be there. And compared to his counterparts, he's going to be more experienced. Obviously not Warnock, but more experienced than most. And it looks like a good hire. In terms of West Brom, obviously 1 year of parachute payments done and gone. 2 more years because they'd been up a while, so he's got 2 years to do this with the financial advantage. We know 35 million and then 15 million coming in the next season, so you would think this is quite a good move. I know there are questions on the ownership at West Brom, which clubs fans don't question the ownership, for goodness sake, but it looks like 2 years for Bilic to get West Brom up with a financial advantage before they really have to start trimming and cutting back and competing on a level playing field with everybody else. Bilic, I think, is going to be a lot of fun. He's quite an atypical footballer, played the guitar. I think he was famous for still smoking while he was playing. So he's a bit of a renegade, I think. So that's about the size of it. Bilic in at West Brom. I think it's going to be a good hire from what I've seen of him on TV and reading through everything he's done. He looks like he can surely cope at Championship level. I know the Championship takes people by surprise, the sheer sloggery of it and the 3-game weeks and, just continually grinding out those points. But I think he's well set to do it. It'll be interesting to see what happens West Brom squad-wise, though, and who may or may not be going out the door with that impending 2 years' time if you don't get up the financial abyss that most teams look at when the parachute payments go. What I want to know is what you think of Bilic in the comments, how you think West Brom are going to use him in terms of spending, and does he have the full 2 years? How good a fit it is, and how do you see it going? I need to run back in over there because it's my lunch break, so I'm going to call it quits there. Please get your comments in, smart me up, especially if you're a West Brom fan, if you know more, maybe a West Ham fan as well. You probably know more about Bilic than most people then. Hit me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm sure we're going to be back either talking about Steve Cooper or Jonathan Woodgate, or maybe even Gary Monk, for goodness sake, very soon. Thank you for watching. Over and out.